Namaskar, welcome to this Bootstrap Banter series of Passionate Pulse podcast. In this Bootstrap Banter series, we discuss a lot of startup fundas that every individual in their own side hustle or in their own side gig or in their own side gig can absolutely implement. And that's where this series makes it very, very special for me because those are the same fundas that I'm discussing with you right now. I'm the one also implementing for building my own platform, which is Passionate Pulse platform, the platform to empower passionate hearts to start their first side gig through their passion power. Well, yes, if you have a passion, you can absolutely start your own side gig. And how, what not, all those, that's what how, what not. That's what we are going to deep dive in this particular Bootstrap Banter series. It's a Bootstrap course for yourself that you can take to implement your side gig. And along with that, we are providing all the productivity tools, which is there on the passionatepulse.com. Go and check some free guides, download them, and there are tons of mind mapping tools to project planning tools to some productivity hack tools that you can use to start your side gig. They're listed there. So that is one thing. So let's deep dive further in today's episode. In the previous episode, if you have missed it out, we discussed the ump theory and the kiss theory. Well, don't kiss right now and don't ump up right now. But if you haven't really listened to those episodes, you want to go back and check the Passionate Pulse podcast on whichever podcast medium that you tune in, and go and listen to that, and then come ready for this next episode, which is Bootstrap Banter series. Come ready for the next episode, which is nothing but a monster episode. Well, we are talking about a lot of monsters today that you need to avoid as the side gigger or startup founder, or, if you're just experimenting any small project in your weekends, maybe nights and weekends, or maybe it is some sort of a break that you have taken and just want to give a rest to your brain from the routine life, and you want to be more creative, and starting from your content. Uh, it can be even the content platform that you want to work with, or it can be something which is developing a tech software or a simple app that can benefit some end users. That is something that is a range that you're looking at. Any of these side gigs that you can look forward to, you're welcome to tune into this episode. It's gonna help you for sure. No matter which field side gig that you're experimenting out, whether you're experimenting a kitchen, whether you're experimenting an art form, whether you're experimenting a production, which is real good sport production, or simple take app, or it's a content media, it's gonna help you for sure. So okay, what are we gonna dive with the monsters? So the monster that I was talking about is the biggest monster is that resides within your own mind, that resides it's nothing but it's a self judgment. The first monster to overcome, there are multiple monsters that we're going to talk today. The first and the biggest hurdle to overcome is the monster that resides in you, the sabotage that keeps talking to you, saying that you're not good enough, saying that, oh my god, you just can't do this, or you're not so perfectionist at this point of time to put it out loud. But I would say this monster has to be, say goodbye to this monster and move forward if you really want to implement your side gigs. And the reason is, if you have multiple ideas and you have already mind mapped them, you have already, cluster them and, pump it up with the next thing to, start action around. And if you have really missed out that ump theory, it's dump, lump, pump, and jump theory that we discussed in previous episode. So if you have already clustered your ideas together and you have figured out that this is the passion that is, right now on the most percentage basis wise you are inclined to, then you want to go forward to it. And there are multiple tools that you can absolutely use, to find out the voting and how you want to cluster them together. They're already listed on the passionatepulse.com free guides that are listed, but irrespective, I'm telling them there is one tool that I really use it, which is Creately. which is nothing but a Creately. It's a project planning tool, but the best part is you can collaborate on this tool with your friends and families, or whoever is a support group that you're leaning on to. You can post your ideas, and make a to-do list, make a Kanban board over there. And if you want to just get sort of test the water with your friends, families, and the support group that you have, you can share with them. And in the free version as well, you can get ample of output from that tool, which is a great productivity tool to go forward to. If you want to know more about that tool, go ahead and check our productivity guide, the ultimate project guide that you can take for productivity hacks. In that, you will find many tools that are listed, the direct links with which you can go ahead and sign up and get those free versions for yourself and start implementing your projects. So, the first monster that I said, like, coming out with the courage and saying that I am doing this in a public medium takes a lot of guts. It takes a really, really lot of courage. And the one example that I can say, as you are navigating this journey with me, I would really like to say that I'm also I was also a person till couple of weeks back, who was not ready to mention everything publicly or on the social medias to post that, hey, I am building this cool tool. I don't know where I'm gonna head, but I'm just starting out. And if you're not following me on the LinkedIn, you should follow, and then you should check my post out. I've even pinned them and then mention out loudly that I'm building this passionate pulse platform, which is going to be a mentor connect AI driven platform where I am going to foster the good mentee mentor relationship for the people who want to start their first side gig. So, having a crystal clear idea and a mission forward to what all I can do for it, and starting with tech platform app to even using the podcast series that I have, which can become a the workshop style podcast series, and even the in person and webinars that we are opening up as a part of Passionate Pulse platform to foster the community of solopreneurs, where they can become from solopreneurs to entrepreneur and start their side gig at a very good level. That's where we are looking at, and that's the mission that I'm driven with. So, putting out loud in the public what it can do to you is what first I would like to brief you. If you're a person like me who would just work in the corner and don't want to put it out loud unless the project is finished, or unless you are whatever work that you are taking up has got some meaningful shape, to put it out and saying that, hey, look at this prototype that I've built, hey, look at this video that I've just video shooted and processed it very well, which is like perfected to the 100-degree uh, from wherever I'm starting. If you go to that rabbit hole, what's going to happen? The first thing is you're going to lose out a tempo to build what you really want to build. Be it a simple YouTube series that you want to start, or be it some simple production that you want to start, or last time we had discussed about the cooking fundas, different sort of a businesses that can merge from your cooking passion, or some fundas that we also discussed about art forms. If you're passionate about certain art forms, like how various channels can help you cater, and you can define which is the right side for you to tune in, hone in, and niche down. The smaller the niche is, the better is what you're going to cater. So that is something we really discussed in the previous episode. If you have missed that, go ahead and tune into that Kiss episode. But this episode, what we're going to discuss further is, if you start putting out loud, you're going to get a lot of courage that you haven't imagined that you had it within you. And that is a big push to yourself, because when we openly commit, what happens is, first, it creates a social binding, it creates a social commitment where a lot of people probably then really not waiting on your future updates that what you're going to do or whatever, but it creates the mental engagement that you have committed something so publicly. Now it's your time to shine, it's your time to rise and shine. And that has happened to me, trust me or not, this has happened to me. For several years I was a person who would not want to put out project loudly prior to starting a project. And this time I decided to take a different turn. And there are many posts that I was going through. There are many advertisement that I was tuning to, which was all about putting yourself loud and then starting a project and see whether that works for you. If some of the projects which is hiding within you, or some of the gigs that you know for sure you can give an attempt to, are really buried in your heart and not getting a life to it, just try this experiment and tell me how it sounded back to you. Tell me that, Pranali, it really helped me out that, I just made a simple tweet saying that I'm going to do this in next 6 weeks. And every week I'm going to post a little bit of incremental update from my side and just commit to that. And for 6 weeks or maybe 8 weeks, or it could be even for 6 months, and see where you are heading. If you're the person who have sit on top of the inertia and a bigger inertia, or you're the person who you feel like I'm a gfn for this particular matter, um, or starting this particular gig, I have a huge imposter syndrome. I think I'm just not good enough to start with. I think I'm just not good enough to mark the benchmarks that have been set already. But remember, the benchmarks that you are viewing are the benchmarks of the people who have crossed there at least thousands of days. That's where they are coming across. Start looking at someone who is not at the benchmark at where you are right now, and look at how they're shaping up their rough models. And you would gain much more confidence, and you would say, oh my God, at least I am far better than this stage now. I was there at day zero. So my day zero and my day 10 are going to be different for sure. And if you trust this philosophy of day 1 to day 100, I'm sure you are not going to hide yourself behind and not going to put it out. But try this experiment out. That's my urge to you. I have done that, and I'm seeing that now I'm really moving massively. Like my day and nights, including my weekends, I'm totally engaged with an idea that I've put it out loud, and I'm spinning my head in all sort of directions to, make my 1 2 3 goals achieved, and at least at a level that it gets to little bit of a prototyping shape, or at least it is coming to a shape of right idea structuring out and filtering out a lot of noise that have surrounded to those ideas, to at least serve the right message, at least the simple message that it can tune into, and the simple MVP that I can focus on to. That is the noise that I'm talking. Like, you really need to cut out a lot of noise in order to build your smallest, simplest MVP. It could be any project, it need not be just a software side of it. It could be the, as I said, like, you want to start some YouTube channel, and for that you are deciding what is my MVP. Oh, how much I'm going to talk. I need to gather so many people. Do I need to do this? No. The first and the very most MVP that you should focus on is create a video. Anything, whether you're facing the camera or you're not facing the camera, and you're animating something, whatever it is, that is your MVP. That's it. You're not gonna move around, tackle around and find out, how I'm gonna success, or how my launch date is gonna come. No, there is no launch date that you're looking out for. The perfect shape that's not gonna come on day one when you are starting as a solopreneur. You want to focus and get the smallest MVP to get to put yourself together, to gather enough courage, and to say that this is the path I'm right now gonna hit to. And this is a side gig that we are talking, so nobody is really expecting a perfectionist output from you at this moment. Rather, there are no customers out there for you to look at your journey and say that this is working and this is not working. Well, having said that, you have to get your idea alive, and at the same time, prior, if you have committed publicly in whichever forms and shape, it could be a simple WhatsApp group post that you are making and making your friends countable, or whichever support group you are in, and you have the small meetup, and you're going out public there and saying that, this is what I'm doing, and I, as a part of the commitment, I'm gonna post you the updates. Or it is like a really bigger platform, we are talking about the Insta, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok, or even LinkedIn, wherever you want to, you're comfortable with the mediums, wherever you feel that there are people who are looking at your journey, or there are people who can really help or really extend their hands, whichever forms and shape you're going live there and putting it out. It's a courageous step. And if you have done that already, or if you're planning to do that, wish you all the best for that. And do that step, and see what drive it moves you further. So the first monster to overcome, as I said, is the biggest sabotage that resides within your own heart. And overjudge, that's a self overjudging that you always will do. So that's the first monster you would overcome. The second thing is, as I said, like, it's very important what you're putting out. It's something that market needs. I mean, it need not be the product that we are talking where we'll have definite end users, as we discussed in previous episode as well. It can be a simple entertainment that you want to put together as your side gig, and see that your talent gets shine, your talent gets channelized. And tomorrow you want to make sure that your portfolio of any creative art form talent rise up to a level where you get commission calls, or where you get the typical industry calls that we say, that you do that right baiting on that. So in order to create that portfolio, you have to march that journey. It's not gonna come in one day. There is a even the bamboo tree, if it has to grow, we see the fastest growth happens after fifth year. But for 5 years, the bamboo tree remain as is. Nobody can even predict that when it's gonna go so high, so tall. So if you vouch on that particular example and try to relate your situation, it's every individual who is shining today. They have immense amount of groundbreaking movements and immense amount of churning cycles that they have taken it to themselves. So don't shy away from this churning cycle, being a solopreneur, being a side gigger, and trust that this is a journey that you will be taking for good. And not today, but tomorrow, you're going to have a different shape from that journey. So after you overcome that, overjudging monster that reside within you, you go out public with your idea. The third thing is bringing idea alive. Giving the rough sketches, giving and building the prototypes. I mean, depending upon which industry, which side gigs you're planning to take. So we'll discuss couple of examples to relate to. Let me start with, you're a hiker and you want to do the good hikes, bigger hikes, or eventually you want to go ahead and do the trekking, which is difficult level trekking, or you want to just climb and Mount Everest, or you just want to as your end result, or as a at starting with the mountaineer journey, you want to end up at a goal that you want to go and climb Everest summit. And Everest summit also has got lot of summits, like the first stage, second stage, third stage, or it might be just reaching it to the base camp is your summit. It is anything that you define as your goal, that you define that this is what I'll be achieving. Achieve it in the stages. You really need not be like a first time mountaineering. You're just starting it out, and within a year you want to be on the Everest, the peak summit, where you would be like heading to like third stage or fourth stage summit that you're looking at. So plan your journey. But remember, in order to be on the Everest, prior to that, you have to climb multiple mountains surrounding your areas to get familiar that how it starts, how it feels, whether mountaineering is something that is really in for you. What are the challenges on a simple mountaineering when you do, or simple trekking that you do? What are the challenges that you have to face? Which are your weak points? Which are your strong points? Which are the points where you think like, these are the type of physical trainings that I must go through. These are the type of mental trainings that I have to go through, or I need to find a right ecosystem, like a support group who are like me, starting out new, and want to achieve the Mount Everest summit, and how we can shape up that. So go find out, that is also a part of your journey. Those are the stages also you have to overcome in order to be at a 100-day summit, which is Mount Everest summit. So how you're going to start out for that prototype? Just design your week, and figure out like in this week, these are your work hours, these are your family hours, and what are you just ready to take out with whatever family setup that you have right now. If you are a bachelor where there are not much of a responsibilities on the family front, and also at a very sweet spot with your studies point of view, then probably you are the person who can devote 30 to 40% of a week time to start your side gig. But you are a person with the family setup, and you are really stretched with your 9 to 5 job. You're really stretched with your family that is counting on you. There are kids in around, or there is extended family around with whom you're supposed to spend time. And then you have to make sure how you're filtering out your time for yourself and get that qualitative attention going. That designing a week itself becomes your prototype number one. And unless you design that prototype, you're not gonna head further and start even to take couple of steps. Are you planning to devote an hour a week for yourself to just try out simple trekking around, and then eventually you're going to grow to a point where you will be able to travel for the weekends and pick up a difficulty level which is little bit elevated than a prior week, or little bit elevated than a prior day. And you have to build that prototype for yourself that this will be my journey. And on the way, by the way, although you have planned the whole prototype, as and when you start doing a simple trekking, then moderate level and a complex level, you're gonna reach at a stage where things are gonna be even circular in shape. You might think that my journey is gonna be a steep ahead that I'm gonna walk like a step and a ladder, but ideally that's not gonna hit the way. It can be also a bell curve that you're gonna hit, that you have hit it at a level that is a good one, and then tomorrow you might encounter some physical challenges, and then your journey goes deep down. But then you are again learning from that curve and going ahead and seeing where it fits, and then from there you can might and from there you might pick up the peak which is a steep, and it can become a ladder then. But it can also happen that when you are hitting the bell curve, there are a lot of learning experiences that you are bagging it to yourself. And this bagging is, I say that it's a treasure that you are bagging, because unless you have that treasure to unfold, you're not going to further and unfold the journey or unleash yourself to the point where you're going to achieve those summits. So respect that and cross out all the monsters that are sitting right now in your heart to take the simple prototyping. If you're someone who would like to pen down the journey in the journals and create the visual chart by hands, wonderful. Go ahead, use different forms and shapes. Maybe a circle is your shape, and in that pie chart type of a thing, you want to divide your prototyping of designing your time, and putting out those goals at the center to remind yourself. Or you're a person who needs you needs to feel those visual instances, or you need to touch them, you're a sensory person, then you might want to get on to some sort of objects that you can hold on to at a places where that you're falling off from the goals. Or you are a person who gets motivated by certain objects which are sitting at your workplaces, or sitting at your kitchen area where you spend most time, or at a dining area where you feel relaxed, or it could be even your backyard when where you would like to spend a time with yourself and visualize and get into that trance stage to think, be creative, and remind yourself of the goals and the side gigs that you're doing with your passion that you have really filtered out. So you can opt for those options as well. And person like me who feels like I can put out something in my digital diary, and then keep adding their notification alerts at certain hours to to touch base my points and see that, oh, have you done this which was planned in a day, have you done this which was planned in a day, and have you done this in order to move forward and take a small step. And that whole journal reminds me like This is my time to look at certain blogs that I've subscribed to. This is my time to, read out certain newsletters that I've subscribed to. This is my day where, I'm going to observe others' journey. I'm going to read others' blog and see where they are at, where they have committed from. Or this is my time where, I'm going to meet at least a new person in a week through any medium. It could be the virtual coffees that I'm setting up through LinkedIn, Twitter, or the people that I'm meeting it in different networking sessions, conferences, or even the coffee shops sometimes, where I just want to relax, go ahead, sit down and work on my content, or work on my rough sketches for the platform that I'm doing. And there I encounter someone that I had not thought about. But then this person and I am like, very interestingly, we had a conversations and we have decided, oh, next time either we should meet for a coffee or virtual coffee and discuss on this particular point in more depth. But in order to do that, you have to make sure that you have a bandwidth to do so. Otherwise, if you're occupied and you're just starting out your side gig, just starting out your solopreneurship, you know that might really not be a discipline and the structure way to march your journey. What will happen is eventually you will just take a jump. You will start there, but along the way you may pause, you may take enormous breaks. That is probably not good for your own sake, because that those breaks might hamper your the progress. Those breaks are absolutely important. I'm absolutely not saying that breaks are not important. Breaks are phenomenal, because when you pause, you calm down, you look at your own, whatever passion projects that you are developing. You can look at them as a very third person on a very neutral palette basis and evaluate where you are heading. That's great. But if your break is enormously, time consuming, and by then you must have lost the tempo of, developing something that you are like really, and then picking up from that stage, it is overcomplicated. I mean, you must have seen this, like, on January 1st, you have decided to jump onto the gym. You have taken the membership. In fact, you have signed up for 3 months at a time and you have paid that cost. You get a good package. I mean, if you're an annual subscriber or annual, I mean, if you have purchased the annual memberships, then it's hats off to you. But what happens eventually is, you overcome it yourself, and then in between there is a long weekend that comes, and you decide to take a week's break and you go out, you travel, or you just do nothing but just spend time with good food and family and uh, whatever the concept that you can pick up. Basically, you got distracted from the gym goal that was there. And then after that week's break, coming to the gym routine becomes so tough that, okay, today is a Monday, I will wake up. Again, when the day or the week, starts, you are just shaking up. You're not there. Oh, for sure, next Monday I'll start, and the next week I'll do a better job. You know what? This doesn't work. If the breaks are enormous, this absolutely doesn't work. So that's the tempo and that's the pause that I'm narrating and I'm talking about. You can have a project plan in a way that even if you're taking a break, you have to have some alert mechanisms to get back to it. Otherwise, you're going to lose the tempo of it and you're not bringing the life to the ideas or the passion projects that you have initially started out. So, in order to give a life, absolutely prototype sketching, starting from there, whichever mediums you are tuning in, whichever digital platforms that you can use, the smart use of apps that you can do nowadays, that you can, make sure you can sign into them. Make sure you create a system for your discipline that keeps reminding you, like a mom, when you were in school or college days and when we were home, during the high school days, how your mom's mom will always be at a place, acting as your digital clock, that hey, this is not the time to do so, cut down these activities. Your time is to finish up this project that you have taken. These are the assignments that you are to supposed to finish it, or these are the assignments that you have to work on. This is a test that's upcoming and you haven't like really put a thought through it. right now it's not a time to devote much time to the sports, but it's time to devote to your the assignments or the in-house projects that you have signed up, your volunteering hours that you really have to craft well. If you have a test paper tomorrow and today you are supposed to do the volunteering hours, which is defined day, you have to go. So how are you planning that test day, and how you're planning your preparation? So the same way, now, instead of a mom reminding you and keeping a track of all your assignments and the side gigs that you have taken up, why don't you make a smart use of so many digital apps that are already existing out? And if you don't know which ones to tune in, and if you want to start their free versions and see what really works for you, there is an ample number of lists that you can absolutely google out, ask chat gpt and get those. Otherwise, if you want a consolidated list that can derive and help you guide, there is a guide out there on the passionatepulse.com, which is absolutely free to download. Download those guides and see whether from there you are getting some inspirations, getting some ideas for your visual boarding, for your mind mapping, and to get your idea life. So giving the idea to life, that's again a journey. And giving the idea to life doesn't mean that you work in your corner, create the whole thing at a full-fledged level, and then put it out. And then you see that whether it works or it doesn't. It may work in the cases as a incremental progress. And why am I saying that? Even a simple artist, like, it may work in the incremental basis, and it's not gonna be a huge perfectionist result that you're looking forward that's gonna come in a day one. Consider you are an artist, you are a good vocalist or a musician, and you are learning the instruments from childhood onwards, and you are learning an instrument, let's say, since childhood, or you have been a part of a singing stages since childhood. But now you have hit a point where you want to make it public, and you want to start, let's say, your simple channel, simple insta, or where you can showcase your talent, or you're a comedian and you want to start doing your solo stand up shows. How are you going to do that? You cannot do that at a level where you have the huge script ready in day one, and then you're going to do the show. Nobody's going to hire to the show where they are expecting it to be the certain credentials, or certain proven journey. Someday or the other, you have to deal with your crappy jokes, crappy stand up comedy, and have to see whether this works for people or no. Whether it resonates with the younger generation, whether it resonates with the mid age people, or whether it resonates to the old age generation, which have, crossed their 60s, and they resonate to some different ideas. They can laugh at some different jokes. I mean, you have to find it out which is your right audience, the type of experiments you're doing in the stand up comedy, who are the right audience to tune in well, and that becomes your niche to go forward. But in order to do that, you have to sort of try all the genres that all the genres that you think you can absolutely do wonders, and start putting out there in the public, and say that you don't have to put a whole 45 minutes or 30 minutes of show all together. You can absolutely put 5-10 minutes of some giggles, and see whether those are the giggles that are absolutely giving out laughter to your audience, and see, collect the data and see whether that is working. That's a feedback loop that I'm talking about. And having a public feedback loop in your any project, be it your the entertainment media projects, be it your the cooking experiment, be it your technical platforms that you're planning to develop, or be it a simple experiment like creating your own podcast. You have to put it out there and see what works. When I was starting my Bootstrap Banter series, which was, by the way, a 2-year-old project, which was buried in my heart for a long time, and I was just not taking out enough time to start this podcast. In order to do this, I had to invest myself in a very different way. The first thing that I did is I signed up for this particular show on the Sapphire Radio. The second thing I decided is, no matter what, I will have my audio podcast series going on, which has, taken a longer time, honestly, because the video production takes time. You have to sort of get ready, you have to fix your cameras, get your lighting in place, fix your studio, home studio if you're working at, then it's a lot of hassle. And that with that hassle, what was happening is my solo podcast was not working. So I decided a first prototype to go with is have a simple lean setup. And the first idea to put forward is just get onto the mic whenever I have time and record a podcast and get started with it. Because even a recording podcast needs a content generation. What I'm going to talk, I cannot just bluntly come on the mic and, discuss something and get started. So that became my prototype. That became my a simple idea that can breathe life. And it's a life that I'm putting out public and sort of getting an idea whether I'm tuning in most to this kind of subjects when I'm talking about Bootstrap Banter series. Am I giving up all the startup fundas that somebody really wants to tune in particular niche, or am I giving up a skeleton for the solopreneur side giggers, which is my mission, by the way, to sort of, which is my mission, by the way, that everybody who have a passion residing within them, they have a power passion, and they can start their side gigs, they can become solopreneur at their own levels. And there is absolutely, they do not have to restrict themselves being in a particular ecosystem. If they are thinking that since I have worked so long in a particular industry, my side gig has to align there. Oh, it need not be. A person can be a a person, for sure, a person can be a dynamic person who can tune into different sorts of angles. And also, every individuals go through a very different experiences, and sometimes those experiences become their guru, become their masters, and sort of some of the ill experiences, in fact, push him hard to start something that nobody has thought through. In order to tell you that example, there is one person that I know. In his family, somebody committed suicide, and it was not long time ago. But that person decided, I will become a pillar for someone who is getting loneliness. And he was absolutely not trained a psychotherapist or anyone, but he decided at his own level, he's gonna just start a weekend circles. And he started the weekend circles for the people who feel lonely, who have lost their partners, who have lost their children. And those are the sort of people that he started gathering. He initially started in his own community where he was living in, and he put up public WhatsApp message saying that, hey, these are the circles I'm planning to host it in my home. If you know any family friends, or within your family, if you know any individuals who sort of feel that they need to talk to someone like them, please welcome for tea and a coffee session at my home on Sunday evening, 4 o'clock, and I'll be there for you. And it started initially with just two people. And right now, that circle is at a massive level where he had to really plan his days well to make that circle work. And it is not such a big side gig which has, gotten a shape of a big platform for, or, kind of say that a backstage or a backbone for, or a pillar for supporting these lonely people. But it is just hearing them out 30 minutes of his time has given him a huge push, which is absolutely not related to what type of job he is working on, the industry that he is working on. But the experience was so unique and a personal to him that he took a leap and started his side gig. And that side gig initially, even now, it's not monetizing it. But now there is a possibility of him collaborating with one of the non-profit who has walked in with him, saying that, why don't you join us and we can do something together to create a good social impact. So your side gig can be a social impact project, and it has come from within your own experiences. It doesn't matter, as long as you're giving life to your idea, as long as your passion project breathes and shows out, and it starts creating an impact at a level where other person see it, I think that's a wonderful reward to have it at an individual level, to get that satisfaction quotient. I think there is no result that can beat that satisfaction quotient if you really have achieved it. And well, kudos to you if you have done that. So this is the breathing life project, which is very important. And give out that, sort of test it out and see whether this works. And first of all, whether it coincides with the passion within you that helps you drive through. So just eliminate that overjudging monster in you and get ahead into the public with your idea to the life. Create something very small MVP in whichever field that you're looking out. Put it out in a public and see how people are responding to your bootstrap. Whether people are liking it, people are vouching for it, or people are saying, it's okay, probably, but I don't think I'm tuning into it. Maybe somebody else is. And just gather that data, like, out of 100 that you expected to drive with, how many are really tuning to, whether your audience, whether your market has to be shifted, or whether you yourself have to give a different shape to the idea in order to succeed. So, whatever that stage is, you have to go out live and see what works for you. I can give you a couple of good examples, that can actually help you out, create a bigger sort of a picture. GoPro cameras. I mean, nowadays, GoPro cameras for any vlogging, it's like a very go-to tool. Or, if you ask any vlogger that, which camera to go for, everybody would say GoPro. And without even thinking, if you are starting a vlog, you would go ahead and purchase a GoPro camera. But you know how initially the GoPro failed? It actually struggled the most. The founder, Nick Woodman, who really invented this GoPro to capture high quality action footage, really, really struggled in the early sales and the market presentation, and even to, capture the right sort of a market. He was struggling with how to market it. There were so many cameras out there, and he decided to revamp with a very simple MVP, saying that since my marketing ideas have not worked, but I know my product has immense strength, I would revamp my marketing idea, which nobody has taken it. In the days and times where everything is working with the real people's review, I mean, there is a different story to talk about if you're talking about paid reviews and the free reviews and whatnot, the collaborated reviews. But realistically speaking, even if you consider 60% of the reviews are real, coming from their own heart, that is the path that he decided. What he did was, he picked up, he gave up absolutely those GoPro cameras in order to try out to people. And after that, the only condition was that those pictures that they're taking, it's a user generated content and a public social media content. He decided to reuse that, leverage that, and start advertising and showing the versatility, the quality of the GoPro cameras that carry. That becomes a real time social media marketing, coming out from the right users, coming out from the real life people. And that strategy just boosted its brand visibility and sales. I mean, of course, there is an affiliation that he made work for people to try out. And there is a different branding and a marketing strategy that definitely involves. But what I'm trying to say is, leading and leaning to the real life examples can help you whichever areas that you're stuck at. The another example that I would really like to, provide you is with the Instagram. Instagram. The another example that I'd like to provide you is the initial failure with the Instagram. I don't know how many of you really know, but initially Instagram, I don't know how many of you really know, but initially the Instagram was really known as Bourbon. And Bourbon was actually a mobile app that combined check-ins, future plans, and photo sharing. And it was too complex actually to engage users and onboard them. And in fact, using that app was too complex, although it was one of the smartest app that they decided to have it, because it would have a lot of features from Facebook that anyways were driving the most. At the same time, it was very lean model in order to go quickly, share the pictures, and not enough of things of writing or anything. It was most of the visual caterings and the future plan developing with that sort of a visual boarding, you can say. And it was too complex, too heavy, and users were really confused that what it bourbon was really serving to them, how to use it. The photos were only in the square shop, and the photos that we had to share it was only in the square shape, and that too there were not enough tools to crop it properly and move it further. So it was too complex to use, although it was one of the smart tool that they had, which is a bundle tool as a bourbon. But then when it was not working out, when the engagement was low, the users were not onboarded so easily or swiftly, then the founders and the co-founders like Kevin, I remember like his name. Yeah, then the co-founder Kevin Systrom and Mike Krieger, they really defined, like the co-founders of Bourbon at that time were no. So when the engagement was not right and the users were dropping off, Kevin Systrom and Mike Krieger were the co-founders. They really sat together and defined, like what is really working and what is really not working. Why the users are dropping, at which point people are dropping, at which point people are sort of working out well. And they stripped down to define that, oh, so users mostly are using this app for the photo sharing and the filters that we have defined. And this is where our key USP is lying. And that is the time they decided, let's rebrand this whole app, just focus on the photo sharing, creating good filters, creating the right cropping mechanisms, and slowly add a little bit of videos as and when the user growth happen, as and when they figured out what the market is looking forward next. So this is what they defined, and this is where they focused. And whatever smart features that they did with lot of hard work, they decided to crop them out. But again, this is something is only after they realize this is something they realize only after going public, only after having their own users, defining and collecting the real time data. So this is the monster. This is a second and a biggest monster that many creators fail at, which is a feedback monster. And feedback monster can literally kill you, can invest, can make you rip off. You can like spend your time, energy, and in fact to certain time lot of resources that needs to be invested in order to create your creative platforms, be it a simple take app, or be it a simple YouTube video, or be it a cooking experiment that you want to try out, or it's a simple art form that you want to try out and see whether people are liking what you are defining in the abstract industry, what you are defining in the fashion industry. Unless you put it out loud in front of the public, you're not gonna catch the real time feedback whether this works or whether this doesn't work. Even as a stand up comedian, out of 10 jokes that a stand up comedian tries in very different avenues, he knows what is working, what is not working. And out of that 10, 7 of them, many a times in the initial stages, are absolutely not working. So, what he does is he hones on to those three which are working, makes his journal whichever place that he can tune on to, and go forward from there. Then he repeats, evolves, add more juice to it. In the context where he's gonna head out the show, he's gonna span that particular context. He's gonna span that particular content in a very different form so that the audience can tune in. For example, a certain joke which is working for the South Asian community may not work for other Americans residing in US, but it may work for the South Asian residing because they can relate to. So you have to know where to drop off, which is, which particular part to filter out, which particular part to tune in. And also, defining your real time audience, saying that this is my audience and I'll stick loyal to my audience, versus spanning a different horizons for the audience, whichever medium that you're working in. As a solopreneur, as a side giggers, it's very important to niche down your audience and see and experiment more and more in that. Go out in public, whatever project that you have created, and it need not be again perfected. So drop out that perfectionism syndrome, because that's really not gonna give a life to your projects. That's really not gonna evolve you as a side gigger to solopreneur, from solopreneur to entrepreneur. So you have to somewhere go and show it out and reduce that cycle. Right now we are living in an area Right now, we are living in an era where everything has shortened because of so many tools, so many channels that are readily available for you to put it out loud. Even today, if you decide to, create a simple app, there is so much skeleton that already exists. In fact, I'm defining an idea of a AI platform for passionate pearls, where I want to connect the first time side giggers to the right side of a mentors, provide the right side of the knowledge, and help them, get out into the public, curate their journeys, equip them with lot of resources. And this AI driven platform, I am also defining lot of technical stuff that needs to be in place, that needs to be a core technology. But having said that, right now there are so many public APIs that are easily available that I can consume for my software to grow. Even there are different cloud companies give you initial credits when you're starting up, or when you're a small startup, or where you are solopreneurs. It gives a lot of credit to start your project. It is such an ease right now. We are not living in an older days where the servers have to be span, the servers have to be spin, you have to associate with certain data centers to host your own things. Even to that matter, there are Raspberry Pi servers, and there are Docker technology, and there is so much out that helps you out easily spin up something that you're looking out, right? Even there are SDKs that you can consume and create on top of it. So there are so many complex problems that are already solved by several different technology mediums. I'm just defining you in this niche because this is something right now I'm tuning in and I'm working on, and I see the difference. Oh my god, the life has become so easy after a decade of time, just because there are so many core solutions that are available. There are so many productivity platforms that are available. There is so much skeleton that is available. Publicly, people are trading on the GitHub, sharing that, hey, I have developed something on this on top of the public APIs. There is so much out in the public right now, available in the publicly available things, and people are actually shouting out loud saying that, hey, I've developed something on top of the public API. See if this SDK, see if my GitHub project is of any use to you. And people are giving it to you for a free of cost to use that GitHub projects. So this is one idea that I'm just discussing with you, that this is very well possible right now. We are living in an amazing time where anything can be spin up faster. If you are someone who has talent in various different art forms, right now you're not finding out different portals, platforms, different events to go and showcase your talent. There is something that is readily available from where you can absolutely share starting from this instant. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Vimeo, there are thousands of activities that you can start from wherever you are, whichever corner of the globe that you are sitting. You can still find your audience sitting in in a different, absolutely 180-degree span. Or you can find and fine tune your audience span across the globe by using these mediums. So make use of these mediums, go out public loud, and find out that feedback loop, and get the realistic stats and get the data, gather back your data. It's it's a simple example that I would like to relate again and again. How the stand up comedian will evolve into the comedy is the same method you will do on across different mediums. Sort of test the water, go out in public, put out your live ideas, and see that those ideas which have got a small life, are they working out? If not, pivot. That is the only thing you can do. And as a part of a side gig, evolving will always happen till the time we find a comfort zone of a right market, a comfort zone of your product delivering the right value, and then from there you will spin up further. So pivoting at an initial stage will happen multiple times, and there is no success formula to it. It's you have to be open to those experiments. That's how you're gonna move faster. One example which I would really like to tell you about, how certain pivots have worked very well. And one of the dearest example that I can give from the e-commerce industry, because many of us are, no matter which user you are, no matter which side gigger you are, no matter which passion you hold yourself, this platform you are using it every now and then, and that's Pinterest. you know Pinterest, initial days, it was known as Tote. And it was literally, it was a mobile shopping app. That's why the name was Tote, because you have the tote bags when you go and shop. Those are the type of things that they related, and they created, or this software known as Tote, that actually struggled to gain traction, because their job was initially to get the tote as an e-commerce platform where people are defining their products to buy, and they were like having certain things to show up, and they add it in the cart. And their real platform was to sell those products and earn money or whatever as a part of it. But at the same time, the person would come to one platform and kind of get an expanded level of some certain products from different brands, from different shapes, from different use case point of view. So that was the initial idea of tote. Like, if you go on the tote and decide to shop the yoga suits, then it's not just the yoga suits that yoga suits that are gonna come up. It's also gonna help you out defining another product: yoga mat, yoga blocks, the rollers that you can use for exercises, some straps that you can use for stretching exercises. Even to that matter, it will add another promotion of weights if you are into the exercising mode. So that was the whole idea of tote as an umbrella project, where you kind of get to get the predictive analysis type of the shopping matter. And that's how the users will actually get one stop shopping with their ideas type of a thing. Nowadays that is not required, because many a times these defined platforms like Amazon and many other, if you go and build, if you go and look for any e-commerce platform nowadays, they have a huge predictive analysis that's happening with your data that is given, and you're getting a good recommendation. So it's amazing recommendation engine out there. But some reason this tote really didn't work at that point. And that time the founder Ben, I think Ben Silberman and Ivan Sharp, they really observed that, first of all, this is not working. It was a complex app that we created for sharing the collection of items, and kind of prompting users to see, and they as a part of a feedback loop, they decided to gather data and see what users are using most for, like this tote app is getting used for what. And they really found out that it is only people are using it to prefer sharing the collection of items that they have really liked on the particular visual board that they see, and they're not really purchasing it, but they're like pinning it on their walls and sharing it with their friends and families, or sharing it in their extended circle or with their co-workers for certain type of a plan that they're making out. So that's where they decided to pivot to Pinterest and create a visually discovery board, like literally a bookmarking platform, which really got an explosive growth, and it became a leading social media site today. Today, Pinterest offers to anyone having any. Today, I'm sure every individual in your household is tuning to the Pinterest. Your young kid, to your teenagers, to your even. Today, Pinterest has done such a massive explosion that every individual in a family today who is a tech savvy or who can operate on laptops or phone is using Pinterest. Even the school kids are using the Pinterest to create their visual boards for certain type of designings, or certain type of their assignment projects that happens in house in the schools, or even the career oriented individual who wants to go ahead and design, or even even or even the homemaker who wants to design her own home in a very different way, simple, starting with the kitchen to the living room to the study area. She's using the Pinterest. Even a person who is looking forward to create certain fashion trends, they are using Pinterest. So look at the Pinterest, what it has done and what sort of problem that it has solved today that we had never imagined. Pinterest has actually powered every individual to create their own projects, to get right inspirations, and really need not spend much of a money to outsource your project and get the strategic head working with you. Now you can always have a strategic head working with you to create a right execution, but at the same time there is a huge inspiration, there is a huge style that you can develop, and now you can get a real time good execution. Like for example, simple interior designing. Nowadays with the Pinterest, the interior designing has become so easy that if somebody has a passion to start interior designing for their own home or they're just friends and family's home, by using these Pinterest ideas or by creating their own Pinterest charts, they can literally go ahead and start their passion ideas to the life, start their passionate project in this field, and they can make their hands dirty with it. So that's the power of pivoting to the niche that what market has given you the feedback with where you are good at. Sometimes we think that we are good in particular area on 100 or 1,000 number of a scale, and at some places you might give yourself a very under rating of a 10 or a 5 scale, or it, so this feedback loop and the real time market analysis, or the real time market feedback loop that gives you a real time input, has a huge upper hand in creating your projects at a level where you find your enough customers. Because you cannot do something from your own head as a solo head and say that this is what user needs, because users, whoever are your end users, they are evolving, the entire systems are changing. There was a time where we used to do the home project, the school projects in the journals where we would actually write. But then the time came when the school projects become the digital projects. And I really enjoy that journey, because the school projects which were written, handwritten journals back then, now we have a hard time preserving those physical copies. But the kids who are doing those digital projects, they have a huge life. So think about it. The same school student has evolved so much now. So the product or the passion with which you're creating the project for the end user, with so much of evolution, is anyways evolving. Your project is also going to evolve. Your product is going to evolve. Trust to that and get and enter to the biggest monster that you are going to ever face is the public monster. Put yourself out with the smallest MVP that you can. See how the market, how your users are reacting to it. See what realistic feedback you're getting, and literally filter out that data. Filter out in a bucket. Somebody might say that, oh, it's not looking good. Okay, it's an aesthetic bucket. Somebody will say, somebody will say, oh, it's not looking good. Then put that into the aesthetic bucket. Somebody will say, oh, this is amazing, this is looking good, it's doing, I mean, it's feeling really nice, but what it is lacking is this feature. you know but what it is lacking is this feature. Oh, that's a great idea. Why don't you do one thing? Add that feature. And if you are into an industry where you are actually handing out some physical product in the art products that you are handing out, then somebody might just come and say that, you know what, these wall designing art pieces are really good, but I think I'm very good. I think I'm also looking forward for something to you know um, create my desk at a personalized way, and I'm looking out for nice art products for my study desk, for my work desk. So do you make something out of it? Do you give some personalized item for those? You got a feedback that you have an art form within you which can go across different mediums, but you haven't just experimented out that medium. But because your people are telling you, because the right market, the right insights you are getting, because and for that to happen, you have to go somewhere live. Your launch date should not be a big day launch date where you are just launching everything is a huge umbrella suite and failing at a go and investing your decades of time or couple of years of time. Go out fast. The faster execution is possible in today's era. There are immense number of tools that can help you do that. And if you don't know what are the tools that can sort of tune in for you, go ahead to passionatepulse.com, download those free guides, and see which tools and the productivity platforms are really helping you out to curate your passion project in a much more disciplined way, to spin the wheel that's supposed to move out. So that's the second monster, a feedback monster, and a biggest fear that if you have to go in public, it feels like, oh my god, I got huge butterflies in my tummy because I'm going to go on the stage and tell about it. I'm going to go and put out my product for the use case. I'm going to go out and put out my product to use, or display it in a art shop, or display it in a simple booth where the gala is happening, or going and into the conference and saying out, these are the products that I've created, are you interested in it, how it is looking at. And even to define your price structure, you need the real time circle coming in. You might think that your product is valuable for a very low cost. You go out and figure out that, oh my god, there is so much demand for this product, I need to upscale it. I need to upsell it. And then along with that, what am I going to add? Do that and make more sales for your products. If you are someone who have created an art product and you know that this is a masterpiece that can come out from you, and you are like really really very confident, but you have price pointed at a place where maximum crowd that, or maximum audience that you feel should get benefited, is just not ready to buy, then probably there are two cases. One, that is not your real audience and you need to really find out a different audience niche. Or if that is your audience and your price point is just not working out to create the impact that you were initially set out to do. So that's another passion project validation that will happen just by going out in public with smallest MVP, is what we say, because that's where you're gonna tune in more. So that's the second monster. And the third monster that happens with every passion project creator is spinning the wheel, reinventing it, pivoting it, constantly experimenting out. You know what? There are 100 experiments, one will do it and come to the success summit. And there is only three experiments, somebody will do it and say that I've achieved my success. That 3 and 100 is depends, where in which context you're talking about. Somebody will say that I just did 3 times pivoting and I'm here. But in order to go with that passion journey, You don't know how many passions he has tried out and what kind of skeleton he has. Maybe his branding is right, his marketing is phenomenal, his sales pricing structure is amazing. And then on top of it, the core that he's serving, he's very sure. With these three pieces, probably he can succeed. And these three pieces have come to him or her by experimenting some other side projects which is not in this niche. So you cannot compare this on a singularly note or on a singularly path, but you have to take your own journey, put out your foot, make your hands dirty, and experiment. And this is a third and a most important monster to overcome, which is experimental monster. If you think that this is enough for me and I'm gonna just halt here, although it doesn't work out, then it's time for you to spin your head in a fresh direction, pause it, come back, retrospect, literally write down and find out what has gone wrong in this, what has gone right in this, tune in most to the right side of it, and move it from there. Evolve from there. Take one step, two step, maybe a three-step journey, and then see where you can lead. But this experimental monster, if it is coming out to you and saying that now I cannot do any more experiments, then probably you have to shut down this monster saying that I am not listening to you because experiment is the only way I can succeed in my passion projects. That's the only way I can do the bootstrap banter. And that's the only way that I can start my side gig. So, overcome these three monsters and get ahead. Go ahead in your journey and let me know how this episode came out. Whether this is something that has really shaken you up, find you, fine tune you, and deciding and making sure that at least today you're gonna do the rough sketch after hearing this and giving your idea a life. A simple life. You need not have to give a big life. You need to give a small life to it. Go out in public in a very small way, sort of test out from your comfort zones, and then absolutely test with the strangers. I'm telling you, rather tuning with your own circles and getting into the more perfect versions, go out and test it out with the strangers. For me, the strangers have given a very realistic feedback. Honest feedbacks have come from them. And in fact, more and more courageous push that I've got today is from the strangers and not from my known circles. Because with the known circles, I would sort of put myself down and say that I don't think this is perfect, and the same tone they carry. And with that, whatever judge monster that I have, given them, with that they judge it. So don't make them judge anyone. Rather just give a life to your projects and ask strangers to use it and see what magic it creates in you. See what magical shape it creates to your passionate project. And with that, I'm very sure you will gain a confidence from side giggers to solopreneurs. Your journey starts and then, it just ramps up from there. Well, if you haven't noticed, well, and if you're someone who is looking forward for the podcast passion project, to start your side gig in the podcasting journey, I'm hosting a podcast workshop on 9th of July. That's the first workshop that I'm going to host. And if you haven't registered there yet, go ahead on passionatepulse.com and just do the pre-registration. Rest other welcome kit we will we'll follow up with you, and be ready for it. Start from the scratch. And this particular podcast workshop is nothing but a very hands-on podcast workshop that's gonna happen. It's like, it's gonna be a bootstrap banter for you in the podcasting journey. We are gonna give a workshop tools in this, and there is a huge structure that has put together. With that, we are gonna give you, the lot of ideas, lot of toolkit, and it's a very handheld journey that I'm, gonna walk with my participants to that workshops. So if you're someone, who wanting to start the workshop, either to excel in their business brand, either to enhance their individual brands, or either to their existing business, they want to come out as a thought leaders. If you're a startup founder and you want to, spread across your thought leadership And one of the authority way that you want to do that now very quickly is through the podcasting versus sitting and writing the blogs. And if you're not into the writing zone and you're someone who can easily talk, or you are someone who want to develop the communication skills, and for that reason you want to start the podcast, there are a lot of hacks I'm gonna really explore in that workshop. So do register, and don't forget to log on to passionatepulse.com. Find out all the resources there. There are immense free guides for your productivity hack, to even define your passion projects, and what sort of tools you can use, how you can mind map a lot of your projects. There are various tools that I personally use, and I have seen a huge benefit through them. Do log on to them, and let me know how this episode has benefited you. I'm waiting for your comments. How this bootstrap banter is sounding to you? Can you relate to it? Can you see that you can bring one passion project alive from you? Can you fine tune your passions and niche down your area to start your own side gig and get that amazing satisfactory quotient that you can only achieve when give life to your long back buried ideas, and you know that you have those hidden magical powers, and you have those skill set, you have those, or you can develop that skill set because you're driven with certain mission. And let me know how this and let me know the real life examples that I've given you. Are they something that are resonating, or you want something more and more of very normal examples that not many people are known, not many things have put out publicly? Let me know what exactly you're looking out. I am also gathering the feedback, and I have shut down my feedback monster a long time back, because I know the only way to evolve in your passion project is to get your passion projects live and get the real time feedback with your own people. So if this is something is in you, do subscribe to this podcast, whichever mediums you are listening to: Apple, Spotify, Amazon Music, iHeartRadio, TuneIn, Alexa, whichever medium. Just subscribe to this particular podcast, rate this podcast, and let me know how this is helping you, whether you are someone who is waiting to start your bootstrap banter and this has given you enough fire push to start. And that will be my real success story, because I am being driven with that mission, that I feel that every individual is in a capacity and has the potential to start their passion projects, to start their own side gigs. And we are coming up with more resources, more help to you. We are developing amazing platform that's going to help you out. Stay tuned. Make sure you stay happy and stay passionate. Till then, see you. Bye bye. Take care. Till then, make sure you stay happy and stay passionate. Till then, bye bye. See you. And signing off, Pranali. And till then, make sure you stay happy, stay passionate, and work on your projects. Bye bye. See you in the next episode. Bye bye. See you in the next episode. Bye bye. Catch you up with the next episode. Bye bye. Catch you up in the next episode.